So moving on to the next question. This is a question for both of you. I feel the reason why Kinky Boots is so popular worldwide is because of the message it conveys. Obviously, it conveys a lot of message, but one of the biggest message is you change the world when you change your mind. So now, when the whole world is combating COVID-19, do you think this message resonates with the people more than ever? And do you think that musical and arts can really make people change their lives and change the world?
Like you said, the message of you change the world when you change your mind. In so many instances, I have used those 6 steps of Kinky Boots to effectively be a better human, to affect my environment and the people that I surround myself with, and hopefully they take those 6 steps as well. And especially in the world in which we're battling not only COVID-19 but racial injustice here in America, and we have to, as artists, take a stand. And our art is how we make a difference in the world. For so long, I always said I wasn't a political person, but as an artist, my existence is political. My existence is a statement. And so I have to use whatever my tools are in order to effectively create change. And how I do that is by creating art and using my artistic voice for change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Theater, art, artists, they are the soul of the nation. They're the soul of the world, really. They are the conscience of the world. And, you know, the gift that the responsibility we're given is to tell the story and inspire people to go out and make change, either within themselves, within their community, or within their country, or within the world. So it all starts in your own personal home, your own personal group of people and friends. And shows like Kinky Boots and other shows give people, audiences, the opportunity to talk about things they wouldn't necessarily get a chance to talk about. And that's how change happens. Talking, communicating is how change happens. So that's what Kinky Boots has done. And that's what I think. You change the world when you change your mind will never go out of style, because it is true. And it's something that we as a world society have to always listen to and make change. We have to make change. Nothing stays the same. So the change has to move in a positive direction. And that's what we do.
We talked about the shows that you have been involved in, for example, La Cage, Hairspray, and these shows also convey the message of acceptance. And being on Broadway, involved in Broadway for so long, how do you think Broadway has changed over the years?
I first came to New York City in 1980, and I was a dancer for Agnes DeMille in the musical Brigadoon. It was a Broadway revival. And so this September will be my 40th anniversary as a member of the Broadway community, starting as a dancer, working as an associate, working as an assistant. The thing that's happened in one overview is that musical theater has become more important. It has become more necessary. It has become more, the entertainment value has become just so huge. And not only in New York City, but in London, where I work quite regularly, and now in Japan and Korea, all the countries I've been able to travel to, I see that the fans are all over the world for this kind of entertainment and these kind of stories. And so, you know, when I first came to New York, Broadway was not in great shape in the 80s. And it's just grown into this massive sort of entertainment machine. And along with that great ability, as Jay said, to entertain, comes great responsibility. What stories are we going to tell? And how are we going to reflect, as with racial injustice in America, what's happening in our world and put it in front of people so they can look at it and see it and go, oh, we have to do that. We have to get to work. You know, that's part of the joy of creating a show. So it's changed immensely. It's changed immensely, and for the better, and it will continue to change. This COVID is going to force all of us to come back with a new sort of energy and drive to do better. And I'm really excited about it.
I see. So as Jerry said, a lot has changed for the better over the years. And now in the present time in 2020, Jay, you are in the center of this business. How do you feel about the people who have made this foundation of musical theater? Do you have any feelings for them or the situation of modern day Broadway in 2020?
They have laid a wonderful foundation for us, and Jerry has done, as you've mentioned, so much work in this industry and created so many wonderful shows and shared so many wonderful messages. And as he says, I feel like we will, in this time, definitely come back charged in a new way, in a stronger way, to tell all the stories and to tell all the truth and the depth and connect even more so. And I'm excited to be a part of this time. I'm excited for what will come from this, from all of us, so that we can move forward and continue to create change and affect change and continue to use the power we have. I've learned that as artists, we have such power. And I don't even think audiences often realize that that is what we possess, but there's a power in what we do to be able to reach into your heart and into your soul and kind of shift some things around and then make you go out into the world and think a little differently. And that's most exciting.
When you start here and the heart, it can work its way up to the mind and make change. But if you start here, it's harder to get there. You got to start here and go that way. And that's my friend Susan Booth at the Alliance Theater in America. She told me that, and I'm giving her credit because it's true. When you start with the heart and work towards the mind, it's going to make change. When you start in the mind and work towards the heart, it's harder, much harder road to travel.
I see. Thank you. やはりいろいろなこの40年間ジェリーさんがブロードウェイに携わってきた40年間の中でいろいろな変化がおっしゃってたようにあったと思うんですけども、その変化を作っていたのがミュージカルであって、そのミュージカルが人々の心にリーチして、そこから頭に人が考えるようになったということで、ミュージカルのその大切さ、その力強さっていうのを今この2020年で我々も感じることができるんじゃないかと思います。So, as you mentioned, racial injustice, Jerry, in the beginning of June, the creators of Hairspray announced that they will be seeking productions to cast actors in accordance with the race and ethnicity of the original characters. Why do you think this happened, and what are your thoughts about this, Jerry?
Well, the show Hairspray is based on a requirement where Tracy and her family are white, and the Motormouth family is a black family, and Tracy wants to dance. That she's a 16-year-old girl, and all she wants to do is dance on national television. But she wants to do it with her friends who happen to be black, who aren't allowed to dance on television. So the idea of skin color and race is a necessary element to get the truth of the story across. In shows like Kinky Boots, Lola does not have to be a black performer. And actually there was conversation early in the casting process whether we wanted to follow that mold of the film or we wanted to just look for whoever. Did we want to flip it? And I spent a lot of time in London. So what I loved about Kinky Boots was its authenticity being placed in London. And what I loved about the film, which I didn't know at the time, I knew I didn't want to change Lola for the Broadway outing. I wanted to keep her a black performer, and I wanted to keep Charlie a white performer. And I didn't really know why until I was way into the process. But I kept saying, no, I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it the way I want to keep it. What I realized was, just like Lola's sexuality is never brought up in the show. It's never talked about who Lola's sleeping with. All that's talked about is that Lola wants to put on a pair of red heels and her father says no. And Charlie wants to go to London and his father says, no, you're going to run a factory. So you have two men who are dealing with the exact same thing in their lives. Their fathers don't want them to be who they want to be. That breaks all racial, all color, it breaks everything. That is a universal idea. We all have fathers, and many of us have to convince our fathers that we want to do this as opposed to what our fathers want us to do. That's what makes it a universal story. Color does not play a part in Kinky Boots, but it helps define the characters because you see those two worlds are very similar. So an audience member seeing it goes, well, that black person is just like me, or that white person is just like me. That was the reason to keep it. But it's not necessary to tell the story. Same thing with Hamilton. Hamilton, you can put anybody in those roles. You could cast women as Alexander Hamilton. I'm not sure Lin-Manuel Miranda would want that, but you could cast anyone in any of those roles. And it's not going to change the integrity of the writing. But the writing in Hairspray, the story requires a white character and a black character in order to tell that story in 1960s America. And I think that's why the with what's going on in America, that was why the authors, I don't know, but I'm assuming that's why they decided they needed to take that stand now.
I see. やはりその物語を語る上で、ストーリーを語る上で、人種っていうことは、人種のことはヘアスプレーにおいてはどうしても欠かせない重要な部分だから、あのような声明を出したというふうに、させられますね。Jay, your thoughts on this?
I second that emotion. I mean, yeah, Hairspray is a show that has always been special to me in my heart, and I love it. And it is, again, in what we do as artists, it speaks to a specific time in history, and that helps tell that story. And it's, again, something that people need to take note of. And it needs to be respected in that way because, again, we are still dealing with racial injustices. So if you're going to do Hairspray, it's important for you to cast it properly so that the story is told in its fullness and in the truth of it. So.
Yes. やっぱりその人種の問題が今なお世界中でも重要視されている中で、特にヘアスプレーのような人種差別を、取り上げた作品というのは忠実に描くことが大事だというふうに、理解しました。ありがとうございます。Thank you very much.
Can I tell you a story about in America? I don't know where this is, and I think it's on YouTube, and you can look at it. There was a high school in America that wanted to do Hairspray, and I think it was somewhere down in Texas. Not sure. But they had no black students in the school. They only had white students in their school. So what they did was they contacted a school on the other side of town that only had black students. And the two schools came together and created Hairspray.
Wow.
But what they really did with that piece of theater was they healed their community in a way that they would have never done had they not taken on this chance to tell this musical and realized they needed each other in order to do justice to the story. So theater forced a community to come together to tell a story. How brilliant is that? How amazing is that? That's the power of theater.
And that probably was way beyond the creator's intention or imagination, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
やはりそういった人種を2つの人種をこう結びつける力がミュージカルそして舞台にはあるっていうことのすごいいい実例だというふうに思いました。ちょっとなんか涙が出そうなんですけれども。Thank you for that. So we are about to wrap up the interview. I'd like to ask Jerry and Jay about your future schedules, starting with Jay. So Jay, I understand that you finished your Kinky Boots tour and you were in Broadway playing Lola, and now you are in Mrs. Doubtfire, which was in preview.
Yes.
And was supposed to open, but unfortunately it's not going to open till next year. What could you tell us about Mrs. Doubtfire and how you're feeling about being in the show and starting the show?
It's an amazing opportunity. The show is fantastic with our wonderful leads, Rob McClure and Jen Gambaptiste. And
an original Hairspray cast, Jen Gambaptiste.
Yes. And that was so amazing because we did our out of town in Seattle and she was talking about she was there like so long ago, and I adore her. And we've created our own little family in the Doubtfire world, and we're so excited to share that story of love and what you will do for family and to be with the ones you love. And of course, again, after this COVID time, we will definitely be itching to tell that story. And we're very excited. It's a good time and we're excited for people to see it.
Could you tell us a little bit about your role in the story?
I play Andre. From the movie, people would know as Aunt Jack or the brother-in-law to Doubtfire. So my husband in the show is Brad Oscar, and we get to create Doubtfire. Rob McClure comes to us and we get to create Doubtfire, and we've got a fun, fabulous number where we do that in, and it's a good time to support Rob McClure and all the amazing work that he's doing on stage as Mrs. Doubtfire and as Daniel Hillard.
Great. Everybody's probably looking forward to you and Mrs. Doubtfire. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
And Jerry, about your future plans, what are you working on right now?
Well, I was about to go into rehearsal for Hairspray in London. We actually were in our second week of rehearsal when this all stopped. So that's now moved to the spring, but it'll be a new production with Michael Ball. And I also have Pretty Woman in London and Pretty Woman in Germany. And then I'm doing the national tours of both Pretty Woman and Hairspray in America, and developing two other new musicals that I'm working on with writers, and a movie musical that I'm working on, which I'm very excited about.
Great. So you're doing all the work during this quarantine?
Mostly working with writers. We've been able to continue the writing and continue to work on promotional things for both the film and the other Broadway shows, which has been fantastic. You never get enough time to write. So now we're sort of forced to write, and it gives us a lot of time to really dive into the material and look at it. So it's been lovely.
Thank you. 2人ともすごく楽しみなことがたくさん待っているということで、日本の皆さんもぜひ楽しみにしていてください。
To the Japanese fans, I appreciate you for your love, your support, your continued energy that you pour out to us. And I hope you all are staying safe in this time and that you are taking care of yourselves. And I look forward to returning to Japan. It's like my third home. I love you all. Take care.
Well, I just want to say to the Japanese audience that I had the most amazing time working on Kinky Boots in Japan. The 2 times I've been there, and I'm looking forward to coming back a 3rd time, I hope very soon. I flew the Japanese flag today here at my home at the beach because I wanted you to know that I'm thinking of you. My support and love goes out to all of you, and I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you're staying healthy, and I hope you're taking care of yourselves and your communities, because we need you. The theater needs you, and we want to be back, and we want to be in that theater with you, telling stories and entertaining you. So I hope we'll see you very, very soon.
Thank you, both of you. 我々日本人のミュージカルファン、そして舞台ファン、芸術ファンも早くジェリーさん、そしてジェイさんと会える日を楽しみにしたいと思います。ジェリー・ミッチェルさん、ジェイ・ハリソン、ジーさん、ありがとうございました。Thank you very much, Jerry and Jay. Keep safe.
Bye.
Bye.
You too.
Thank you.